On today's episode of Titus and Tate, the Kentucky Wildcats have officially hit rock bottom,
Ooh,
losing by what was the final? 26, was it?
yeah,
26 points, I think,
yeah.
at
Just, I
at
mean,
Alabama.
I couldn't even add it all up. I'm not good at math. It was a lot. I think that was the final statement from all Kentucky fans. It was too much. They have officially jumped the shark, and they said we are done with Calipari basketball. We're about 6 years behind the timeline that we wanted, but here we are.
Yeah, you and I are ahead of the curve on this. So, like,
Right.
in some ways, the discussions around college basketball are arc. In fact, Kentucky's been trending down for a while, as we know, but
hmm
this does feel like rock bottom. And now,
Kenny Payne would say it's not.
yeah,
Kenny
yeah,
Payne would say it's not rock bottom.
but I feel like we've been having the rock bottom discussion for a while with
Right.
Kentucky.
Right. Right.
I felt like losing to a 15 seed when you had the National Player of the Year was rock bottom. It was not. I felt like winning 9 games a
Nine
couple years
games is
ago was
when
rock
I mean,
bottom.
that's when we looked at the buyout numbers. We're like, all right, if they wait 2 more years, it's not 50 million, it's 40 million kind of stuff. So yeah, we've been there.
This isn't the rock bottom, I guess. This is a rock bottom.
Right.
This is another in a long line of rock bottoms. For
We are in
Kentucky,
the
but
abyss.
yeah.
And will we keep going deeper? We'll see.
Also, Gabe Kalsher is the hero for Iowa State. Big win at TCU. Iowa State. Are they a Big 12 favorite for real? Probably not. I'm going to say probably not. I'm going to say that Kansas has been right in front of our face the whole time, Tate.
Right. Could be number 1 team in the country.
Could be the best team in
22
the country.
voters say they are.
Yeah. The Big 12 is the best conference in the country, and the Big 12 race could theoretically be interesting, but also at the same time, until
We've been
Kansas
there
loses,
before.
we've been there before.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Kansas being number 1, they are not in fact number 1. They are number 2 because the Houston Cougars are back atop the AP poll, Tate. This
Mhm.
was a Arizona sneakily lost. I don't know how. I've talked about this a handful of times, but playing on the West Coast is beneficial when you suck because you can lose by 13 to Washington State at home and nobody really notices.
Right.
You can kind of do a good job of like just
Mhm.
delete the tape. No,
Yeah. We're still a top 5 team. Don't worry about it.
Don't look it up. Don't look
Yeah.
it up. That kind of happened with Arizona, but it turns out people did notice, and Arizona fell out of the top 5. But yeah, the top 5 of the AP poll. You've been saying it all year. It's kind of cursed.
Cursed.
Yeah,
Been
it's
cursed.
been cursed.
I've seen it.
So we're gonna hash that out. Just trying to get a feel of who's good, who's not, because this is the time of college. Every year around this time, we look at each other
We're out.
and we're like, do all these teams suck?
Yeah. Right.
And then I woke up this morning and saw that the Buckeyes fell out. The Buckeyes we lose our starting center against the number 1 team in the country, and they need a miracle to beat us. And I was like, I'm sure, we're not going to go up in the poll, but surely we're not going to fall too far. And I know we lost to Maryland, but we didn't have Zed Key in that game. So I'm like, I'm sure we're not going to, we'll probably just hover right where we're at. Nope. Tate, wake up to see that Charleston and Florida Atlantic have more votes in the AP poll than Ohio State and North Carolina. So I felt like this is a perfect moment in time for us to dust off the haters guide to the AP poll that I busted out for the preseason poll.
Yeah.
I'm
excited for you.
Dude,
I want you to get it off your
this
chest.
Florida Atlantic stuff. If
Right.
you're a Florida Atlantic fan, turn the show off. This one's not for you. This is if you're a Charleston fan, it's not for you. You've come to the wrong place. If you want the parade that everyone else is throwing for you because you're beating up on Our Lady of the Lake, I'm sorry to say you're not going to get it here.
Yeah.
So the show.
And if you're saying who,
yeah,
yes, we are talking about the Owls. But yeah, it's not going to be fun.
Skip this show. We'll come back later this week. But we are doing the haters guide to the AP poll because I have some to get off my chest, and
How is Duke still in the top 25?
It makes no sense.
Right. Just want to put that out there.
We're gonna talk about all that, but first,
Woody Durham.
all right. Do we want to jump into the haters guide? You want to talk Kentucky? You want to talk any of these games that happened this week? And what was the UConn beats up on Creighton? By the way, that was Creighton is every time Creighton loses a game, I just say to myself, yeah, but they're definitely the best 7-loss team. In the
Right.
league.
As you
Yeah,
add
but
the
they're best-
losses,
Yeah.
and like somehow I won't take them out of the tournament either.
No.
I just
absolutely not.
continue. I continue to believe that they're going to figure it out. And for whatever reason, when Kalkbrenner was out, it was the perfect excuse.
My
they lost 6 in a
bracketology-
row, and
yeah.
I'm like, but Kalkbrenner's not playing.
Yeah, exactly. What do you have? Mono? Was that the
Yeah,
official
I
diagnosis?
think
like,
so.
What?
Yeah, he just was out.
He's just out with non-COVID.
Just
Yeah,
out.
in a post-COVID world, every illness is either COVID or not COVID.
Right. He
There's
could have the
no-
flu for all we know, but he was out.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Creighton. Creighton is probably like an 8 seed in my bracketology. I
Right.
haven't actually filled out my bracketology. It's just I take the Dick Vitale approach where I just speak from the heart.
Mhm.
And if you actually fact check all the teams I have in the bracket, I probably have over 100 and, I have 7
Right.
1
But
seeds and
we believe in the transformation committee because we're scared of them at some
Yeah,
level. So we're like, I guess we have to have 90 teams. There are 90 teams that I could see in the tournament.
yeah.
That's what I see.
Do you have you seen enough from Creighton to now, walk back our belief early in the season that they had the best starting 5 in the country?
I'm
Are we ready to
actually
be like, maybe they're not the
maybe not
best?
the best. Maybe not the best starting five, but I still think that I still think I like
I
him.
still think I
I still
love it.
think I like him. I hate to say it. Sorry to all
How does
the
that do you think
sorry
that's
to the
just
Blue Jays haters.
do you think that's just Maui?
I think so.
It probably is.
But I
Because 'Cause
saw
I'm trying to figure out where our
San
blind
Diego
spot is with
State
this
like
stuff.
jumps back up in the top 25 this week, and I'm
Yeah,
saying Maui bump.
Maui bump,
This
yeah,
is a
dude.
good Maui team.
Is that what it? Because I sometimes, I try to be introspective and try to figure out, like, why is it that
Why do
some
I feel this
why do
way?
I like some
Yeah,
teams that aren't that good, and I hate like, when Houston was good a couple years ago, and I was like, "I just can't get there with this team. I just can't," like, every time I watch them, I'm like, "No." I just can't help but say
right.
the word "no" as I'm watching
Yeah.
the what was that, 2021
Yes.
Houston team?
That was the Final
The
Four
Final
Houston
Four
team.
team,
Yeah.
yeah. I was like, I can't get there with this team, and I couldn't figure out why, really. And that tormented me. On the flip side, it feels like there's always 2 or 3 teams every year that I can't quit, and it feels like Creighton's gonna be that team all year for me that I watched them against UConn. I never really felt like they were going to win the game, and I was like, "There's a good team there. I know there
Right.
is."
I think they're still putting the pieces
They're
together.
still
I
just
think if
gotta
the
give them
sea yeah,
time.
sometimes you just gotta let the game play out, They just ran out of time. That'll be Creighton's story this year. It's not that they're a bad team, they just
They
ran
just
out of
ran out of
time.
time, dude.
Yeah.
That's all it
Didn't work
was.
out.
Yeah, is there anything you wanna hit, or do you want me to just dive into the haters guide?
Let's talk about Calipari quickly
Okay,
because
alright.
I do think there is. I mean, Alabama. The fact that Alabama just absolutely stomped Kentucky is newsworthy.
Mhm.
But the funny and the most shocking and wacky, to use our boy Dickie V's verbiage, part about all of it was that it seemed to be understood. It seemed to be, like
The
people.
shocking thing was that it wasn't shocking.
Right.
Yeah,
Everyone was
yeah,
like, yeah, of
yeah.
course Alabama stomped out Kentucky. Kentucky's terrible. And you look at Oscar Sheboy, this is the reigning national player of the year. This is supposed to be the run it back campaign. The first time to do this since whatever, this is supposed to be this kind of year for him. We're completely off the rails.
Mhm.
One thing that I keep coming back to is that Oscar, a few weeks ago before the Louisville game, he said that he met with Calipari and he said, we have to be more positive on our guys. Like, instead of being so mean and reprimanding, we have to say, like, that was a good pass.
Why you have to be
That
so mad?
Right. But he's like
Yeah.
basically, let's flip it. Let's be positive. And
Uh-huh.
Calipari said, I will double down on my negativity. I will go after all these kids. These are not my guys. And I look at this Kentucky team and they just seem broken. And I don't know what Calipari always has,
Yeah.
like a back pocket move. That's who he is. I don't know what the back pocket move, but something must be going on. There's something in the ether. The AD doesn't like him. Kentucky fans don't like him. The media machine that is ESPN and all these places, they're not going to bat for him. What is Calipari going to do? I think that's fascinating because something has to be done.
So
Something has to be
I
done.
mean, the one saving grace he has is that recruiting class next year.
Right. But
But
like, how many times have we heard that?
Yeah, I like who has faith that Kentucky's gonna be good? I mean, I guess the AP voters are going to, based on what I'm seeing out of. I guess I'm gonna
Right.
stop myself right there and
Right.
say, Kentucky's gonna be 4th in the preseason poll next year, and then you're gonna ask these voters why, and they're gonna say, "Because do you see this recruiting class? John Calipari with that much talent?
Come
When
on.
has it ever not worked
Yeah.
out?
It's going to
Like,
be amazing.
what? Have you noticed?
We've been living in
Is
2012 brain for way too long.
I was thinking about this as I'm watching Kentucky get run off the floor at Bama. Kentucky's an NIT team right now. If Kentucky, I'm bewildered by these bracketologies that have Kentucky, and like Kentucky being in the tournament and Creighton being out. That doesn't compute for me.
Mhm.
I don't understand it. It makes no sense. Who's their best win right now?
Michigan in
Yeah.
London.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's enough. Michigan's not a tournament team, probably.
Right.
They could
They're a
be. I don't
bubble
know. They're a
team.
bubble. Yeah,
Yeah.
Michigan's on the bubble, but Kentucky is I don't get it other than the name on the front of the jersey. You have the national player of the year. All these things are cool, but they're not winning basketball games, and they look really, really, really bad. And they looked against Bama, obviously the worst they've looked all season. I
They took 20 more shots than Alabama in this game. I just want to put that in perspective, Like, it's not I mean, my favorite stat is FGAs. I respect FGAs. So you're putting up 20 more shots and you get absolutely blistered? Like, you just get absolutely blown out? You shoot
Who's
28% from the field?
who's the last guy to have a National Player of the Year trophy play in the NIT? That's a thing.
That's a
I gotta
good
look. I
question. I
should have
mean,
looked that up
it's
before the show,
probably
probably.
like Ralph Sampson or, it's probably like someone back in the 80s,
Yeah.
like that is, I think that's what's so confounding about the whole situation. It's just that it was set up for this to be a Kentucky redemption year. This is supposed to be we lost to St. Peter's. That was a fluke. We all know that. Kentucky was a really good team last year. We bring back the National Player of the Year.
Mhm.
We still have Severe Wheeler. We have Case and Watt. We checked all these boxes. I was drinking the Kool-Aid. So I'm saying this to
I
myself.
was up until Cal started the season by saying, "Be
Oscar's not
patient."
hurt.
Yeah, be patient with us,
Right.
and yeah, and then the Oscar knee injury that was, mysterious, and they wouldn't be direct about, and, but to be patient with us when you have one of the oldest teams you've had at Kentucky,
Right.
and this is supposed to be the team that comes out of the gate, like, motivated after the way the season ended last year and all that. And he was and the messaging coming out of Cal's mouth was, "We're gonna suck."
Right.
I was like, "What?"
And Kentucky fans are like, I thought that we were going to win the national championship. What is happening?
Oh, man.
The messaging is off. And we're in Camelot. I'm not sure Calipari is in Camelot. I think he is looking out into the
No,
valleys and saying, I need to
I
get out
guess
of
it's
here.
fascinating because we've joked about it on the show for multiple years at this point that Cal's lost his touch. So, like, that part, as you said, is not shocking. Um, what's fascinating to me is that the reality has caught up to the memes, I think,
Right.
that we've been memeing Cal on the hot seat for so long that
Here we are.
we don't even really take it seriously. We're just like, "Yeah, wouldn't that be something?" And now now I'm like, "Wait, could this actually happen?" Like, I don't think they're gonna fire him because if they do, they have to kill him, as we know, with the lifetime contract.
Mhm.
But, I don't know, is he gonna resign this offseason for real? Like, because the Cal path to not being Kentucky's coach was always that he's gonna take an NBA job. He's gonna coach the Lakers, or he's gonna coach
Mhm.
the Pelicans or whatever the hell wherever the hell he was gonna go. And it was always like kind of the Brad Stevens leaving Butler thing where it's like, "God damn, I love you guys so much, but I have to take this opportunity. You don't get a shot like this, all the time in the basketball world. I have to go coach the Knicks. I'm sorry, Kentucky. I always love you." Like it was that
Right.
that was how the breakup was always going to be.
The
And now
Patino.
to live in a world where the breakup is going to be very ugly and it might actually be I don't think it is because the recruiting class. I think he's fine because of that recruiting class, but if he had a garbage recruiting class next year, could this actually be his last year at Kentucky? It still could be, honestly. I don't know, but that's what I mean. It's like it's wild that it's now something that could actually happen, I guess.
I
'Cause
think
I don't I've thought it was a joke all this time, but I don't think we're joking anymore.
we're not joking. We're all sitting seriously and we're all having a fireside chat and we're saying, what is the future of Kentucky basketball? And I think the most damning part outside of the performance itself was after the game, Nate Oates said, Kentucky's going to be all right. They just had a bad shooting night. Like he's giving the sympathy. You know what I mean?
You have to make shots.
Right.
Those are
When
the
Nate Oates
NATOs.
took the Alabama job, you're like, we got to knock off Kentucky. And now he's sitting here in his chair and he's like, man, I kind of feel bad.
He pities
I'm sorry that we
Kentucky.
just beat their ass so bad, And Calipari, he's like, we can't win when 3 of our starters go 3 for 27. I agree. Can we get better shots? Can we draw up something? Can we make some sort of shift? He's like, I've shortened the rotation. I've done this. I've done that. And it just feels like Calipari. How many tricks does he have left? And I think he's out of tricks.
I think he's out of
Yeah.
tricks. Yeah.
Tricks are for kids, and his guys and his kids are not there.
This is
And,
not a
he's
blip.
out.
This is not.
This is a bomb.
This has been a bomb.
This has
been a bomb.
It's a
Going off
bombshell,
for-
to be honest.
We're entering year 8 of. I was in the building. I witnessed it with my own 2 eyes. It wasn't that Kentucky lost to Wisconsin in the 2015 Final Four, Tate. It was how it happened.
Right.
It was John Calipari's hubris on display for millions and millions of people to see. That it wasn't enough for him to go undefeated and win a national title. He had to also get his entire roster drafted in the first round. He had to also platoon his team.
Yeah, he had to prove
like,
a point. He's like, I can
Just-
take 10 top recruits every year.
He had to prove the point that my bench would have won the national title.
Yes.
And my starters are also going to win the
Right.
national title. So give me 2 trophies,
My
please.
second unit made
Yes.
the Final Four,
Yeah,
and my first unit won the title.
And then he lost to Wisconsin, and ever since then, it's been just not to say they haven't had good teams, but it has that was the moment in time. That was it.
Right.
And then it's been just an identity crisis ever since then.
I think Luke May hitting the shot too, in 2017. That 2017 team
That was
with
also rock
Bam.
bottom. As I said,
Yeah,
there are multiple
how many rock bottoms can there be? But the funniest part about that was that Cal before the game was like, "We got to watch out for Luke May." The Kentucky media laughed. They were like, "That's really who we're worried about." And then that's the man who hit the shot. And Cal's like pulling his hair out. He's like, "I told you, that's the guy." I almost feel bad for Cal. I will say.
No, I don't.
I'm like
No,
this close to feel. I feel like Nate Oates. I'm like, man, I feel bad for this guy.
I do not feel bad for Cal because this is a great example of making your bed, of reaping what you sow, of you take over, like, his whole brain, his whole existence is demanding your attention. He sits in that chair and he's like, all eyes on me. We are the premier program in all of college basketball. Everybody please pay attention to us.
Right.
And then when things go south and everyone clowns him, we open the show talking about a Kentucky team that's probably not going to make the tournament. While, like Iowa State fans are listening, like, we're the top of the Big 12. We just beat TCU. I bet they open the show with that. I bet, all the Providence fans or whoever else, like whoever's
Florida
like
Atlantic.
Florida Atlantic fans.
They're like, we're 13th in the net.
Yeah.
Why are you not talking
Why are you
about
not
us?
talking about us?
Yeah.
And it's because John Calipari's brainwashed us because we have been conditioned to.
He was Sports Center,
pay
right?
attention.
Like, I mean, that is John Calipari is Sports Center. We were all coming in for his top 10 like notes and players and things of the day. We had to keep up with all of his little bits and his podcast. I remember when John Calipari went on Dan Patrick's show in like 2016 and was like, they told me coaches don't have podcasts. And I said the same thing to Facebook and MySpace and Twitter. I was like, they don't want me to do that. I'm ahead of the curve. John Calipari feels like he's getting lapped right now. And as the ecosystem of college basketball has drastically changed.
So is his path back just starting a TikTok, do you think? Like if Cal just makes
maybe. Just maybe.
Cal does dancing TikToks. I think I think Kentucky basketball will be back.
With the players. He goes the Brian Kelly approach. He's like, he gets aggregated in memes, but it's actually a good thing in the end. Like all the LSU players are like, yeah, that's kind of funny. Like, you can't hate on it. I mean, maybe he has to laugh at himself. Maybe he has to self-deprecate, and then maybe he comes
I don't know
back.
what the solution. For what it's worth, like Oscar,
if I'm his agent, I'm calling around to other
Oscar
schools.
asking Cal to stop being so negative. I think Cal being negative is not a problem. I guess like the only approach that's the right approach is the one that works,
Right.
So
I agree with that.
I don't have a problem with him yelling at his guys if that's what he thinks he needs to do. But like also if you continue to do that and you're not getting results, then maybe you do have to switch something up and try something else.
Right.
But as you said, it's for a guy who's always had something in his back pocket.
It
does feel
his
like
pockets are empty. Feels like he's been shaking
he's just
down.
scratching his ass right now, trying to find where's that thing?
He's like, I got a wedgie. I feel like I got a wedgie or something. I don't know.
I swear I had a Carl Towns back here.
Right.
Where's the?
Yeah, let me run to the bathroom
Anthony
real
Davis?
quick. Yeah.
Where is?
There's nothing.
No, there's not.
There's nothing. And even the NBA people, like the Gavoni types and all these Draft Express people, they can't even really protect him because who is Sheboy's not a lottery pick.
That's
maybe
a good point.
Wallace,
Casey
maybe
Wallace,
Casey Wallace is, but at the same time he's been struggling. So they don't even have that to hang their hat on.
Yeah,
it's not fun. Texas might call him. Why not? See if he said
that
him
would
say
be
no.
something. Well, that's how I think I realized that there's actually something to this because the blue check big J's of college basketball putting together their Texas candidates lists. We had Cal on our list, obviously,
right?
But I didn't think they would have Cal on their
He's
list.
like on the long shot.
You know what I mean? Like, I was like, wait, this is actually something people think could happen?
Right.
This is crazy.
Right. And if you're Calipari and someone wants you, as opposed to the AD that doesn't want you and the students that don't want you and the fans that don't want you.
Did you see what Matt Jones had to say this morning?
No,
he said,
I love Matt Jones. What do you have to say?
I want to read.
Matt Jones does keep me up to date. Like sometimes I need a pulse of the nation, and whatever. I just can go to his Twitter and I'm like, I know what Kentucky fans are.
Or go to his comments. I mean, like that's why he exists. That's why that's why KSR works, dude. Is like he's just like
you throw it out there.
Yeah.
You throw the blip and or the bomb and you see what happens.
He tweeted this right before he sat down to record. He said, the John Calipari from 2010 to 2020 was the absolute perfect coach for Kentucky in every way. I don't want a new coach. I want that guy. And I think the vast majority of UK fans feel that way. The last 3 years haven't been that. he can get back to that old Cal, and I hope he will. So it turns out the Kentucky fans don't actually want
They
a
want to
Nico they
hire
wanna hire
Calipari from the last
they
decade.
wanna live in the past, but then also make fun of Indiana fans for living in the past is
Okay.
what they want, yeah.
Right.
They
If
wanna
I
they
was an
wanna
Indiana fan, I
yeah.
would quote tweet that and say, "I would love to hire Bob Knight from the '70s and '80s."
They
Could he
are
be that guy again?
they are above the rivalry with Indiana because, Indiana hasn't won anything in
Right. They
forever,
don't live in the
and,
past.
like, Kentucky has won all sorts of stuff the
Mhm.
last 8 years, like, an
Mhm.
incredible amount of things, too many to name, honestly.
Right.
Um, and they live in the
10
here and
years
now.
though. That isn't that crazy? Like when Anthony Davis won the title in 2012,
Oh, you thought
you thought
Kentucky
Kentucky was gonna win 5 or
5 of the next
6.
10,
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Right. And the fact they have not won
They've
any,
not won a single one
that
since.
is probably the most damning
And not
part.
only have they not won a single one, they're now in a position to where, the idea of Kentucky, like, making a Sweet 16 feels daunting, you
Right.
know?
Right.
You know? If I
St.
told you
Peter's.
like, this Kentucky team has the talent to obviously make the Sweet 16 this year. I'm not saying it can't happen, but as we sit here today and I tell you Kentucky is going to make the Sweet 16, you'd be like, "Okay, hang on a second. Give me a sec. I gotta figure out how this is gonna happen." Like, at what point did they turn the season around? Did they get a good draw in the tournament? Did, like, did the team they play have someone hurt? Like, what the hell like, that's crazy to me that not
Right.
only have they not won national titles, they're not even close to sniffing one right now.
Right. And I mean, the one thing that I did see after the game, and I have to make the point because it is a counterpoint, I guess, to what we're saying. Severe Wheeler said, "We beat Kansas and North Carolina like a drum last year, and they went on to play in the national championship."
That's a good point.
And he did, and they did, and Kentucky did.
That's a
So
good point.
I have to give them the tip of the cap. They did do that last year, but the fact that they're bringing up
It's,
these moments in time to help explain the current situation,
The old Michael
not good.
Scott, I captivated the guy who captivated
Right, right.
100 people or whatever.
It's a
The line
whataboutism
is
that I
and
have to respect. You know, I saw that and I'm like, well, I was like, no, that's a fair point. It's a fair point.
I wanna do the haters guide
Yeah,
today,
let's do it.
people,
Let's do it.
because,
Enough about Kentucky.
yeah, this is the 2nd week this season that, neither one of our teams are in the AP poll.
Ridiculous.
Uh, a couple weeks ago it happened, but, this one was egregious to me because not just that we're not in the poll, that we're not even close. Like,
Right.
were
Right.
you like,
To name some teams that are ahead of North Carolina and Ohio State, Florida Atlantic, they are ahead. Indiana, St. Mary's. This is the one that'll cut you to the core. Northwestern,
Northwestern, dude. Northwestern. Ohio State just beat Northwestern by 40
right?
at Northwestern. Yeah.
And they have way more votes. Illinois, who was a dumpster fire, a few days ago until they showed up on Saturday. They had a nice win. That was good. Mississippi State, Rutgers. These are all the teams that are in front of Ohio State and North Carolina. And then North Carolina has the same amount of votes as North Carolina State. So talk about that. I mean, that is fall
Yeah,
from
so
grace.
basically, long story short, we're haters. We're not
Right.
like, because I think we should say too, we're at the point of the college basketball season where I think you could set your calendar that the two of us say to ourselves, does everybody suck?
Mhm.
Does this season suck? Is this not a good season of college basketball? Because once conference play really gets going and teams have to go on the road and teams are playing a schedule that is mandated and not like handcrafted by their own programs to
Right. To
build
make them
a
look
certain
good.
narrative
Yeah.
and make them look good. They start, I don't know if getting exposed is the right way to frame it, but they things start to fall apart a little bit. UConn's a great example of that. That UConn was beating everybody by 15. That's not to say they were playing an easy schedule, Tate, but the schedule was put together by Dan Hurley.
Mhm.
Then when they have to play the Big East schedule, now you have to go on the road and play some teams that you probably didn't want to play. It gets a little different, you
Right.
know? Things
Sean
change.
Miller at
Yeah,
Xavier. I
yeah.
don't want to play there.
Things change. So that starts happening, and then you look around and you say, "Is anybody good?" I don't know if anybody's actually good. I do, for what it's worth. I think Houston is the best team. I thought Houston should have been the number 1 team to start the season. I have not really wavered from that much. The Alabama game was strange how they kind of choked it away. I don't mean to suggest that doesn't count.
But Alabama's a top 5 team now.
Yeah, and I don't think Houston. I'm not trying to put Houston on a level of like Gonzaga, Baylor in 2021, where it's Houston versus everyone else, or that there's a huge gap. But I do think Houston's the best team. I do think Kansas has, as much as I've wanted to deny it, because Kansas has won some close games. They've had some head scratchers. They're not always looking dominant. They look like they play like NBA games where they're just kind of not paying attention to the score, and then they're like, oh shit, we should try to win this. Um, but they're also, like, beating everybody, and
They have the
what
best
they smoked
record.
West Virginia in a game
Yeah.
I thought might be interesting. It was not. Um,
They're undefeated on the road. They have the best record against Quad One. They're 6-1 against Quad
yeah,
One. That's the best in the nation. So if you're a Q guy, I'm not a Q guy, but if you are, you have to love Kansas. I mean, they
yeah.
check all those boxes.
I think Kansas has my attention as, like, when the discussion turns into there's no great teams, Houston, I would say let's take a second and give them a chance to prove that they might actually be that great team. Kansas is another one that I don't think they are, but also, I don't know, man. When you have 4 dudes who are like 6'7", 6'8", and they're all interchangeable and positionless, and, Kansas is definitely going to be a problem all season.
And if
And
you've watched Kansas, weirdly, in some of these games, they'll have a random guy come off the bench, and you're like, whoa, like
yeah,
like Bobby Pettiford. Wow, you have my like big time shot, down in the Bahamas. That's amazing. My guy MJ Rice, and then you have 2 stars, legit stars, and Jalen Wilson and Grady Dick. So, I get Kansas. I
I,
get the
I would
Kansas love.
I would say Tennessee's knocking on the door, and I think if Tennessee was wearing Kentucky uniforms, they might be the number 1 team in the country.
Bingo. I'm right there with you.
Might be. I don't know that they would be, but they would be getting first place votes. If Tennessee was coached by if this was 2014 and John Calipari is coaching Tennessee and they're wearing Kentucky uniforms, they're getting first place votes, I think.
Yeah.
I think they are.
I mean, and if I were Alabama, I was saying to Mace, who went to Alabama, who works at Fox with us, was talking to me about this Alabama team. I'm like, let Tennessee be the face of the SEC. Let them win the conference. Let them do all that, and then you guys make your Final Four run.
Yeah.
That's my Alabama pitch in my mind. It's like I'd rather Tennessee be ranked above me if I'm Alabama for the time being. But let's get in the haters.
Yeah, let's get in the haters thing, because that was my attempt to say that I do think there are some good teams out there, but, now that I got that out of the way, let me tell you the truth. I think all these teams suck ass, and I think if I was an AP voter this week, Tate,
Hmm.
I would have just submitted a blank ballot
Right.
out of principle, you know?
Hmm.
I just would have
No one's good enough. There are
no
no
one's
top
good enough.
25 teams.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to send a message at a certain point and tell the country that this simply is not good enough, and we have to raise the standard as a sport. So, here you go. Here's why all these teams are overrated. Here's your haters guide to the AP poll. For any of you haters out there that maybe your team's not ranked, or maybe your team is ranked, you just want to be a hater. Here you go. Here's what you need to know.
Sometimes as a fan, you have the right to be a hater.
Yeah.
You're like, they're not seeing what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So let's do it.
Number 1, Houston, you scored 49 points on Kent State at home. You played a Mickey Mouse conference. All of your players are 2 inches too short, and your coach is going to Texas. So enjoy the ride this year. Enjoy like going to the Final Four and losing by 12 again in your home state when you thought everything was aligning for you, but then you realize you haven't played a real team in 3 months, and you lose in the Final Four and say, how could this happen? And at your parade, your coach announces that he's going to Austin to take over for the Texas Longhorns. So it'll still be a great year. Even when that happens, don't let that diminish the great season you had, Houston.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Had been number 1 since the Fly Slamma Jamma
Yeah,
days.
so hang that
know?
banner.
Right.
Yeah, when you don't win the national title, at least you can hang that banner. So
Mhm.
that'll be cool. Kansas, Tennessee worked you. Completely kicked your ass. I did not forget about this. The highest currently ranked
I saw that game. I watched
that game.
Yeah, that happened.
The highest currently ranked team you beat is number 18 Wisconsin in overtime, and you should have lost that game. You're lucky to win it. Extremely lucky, I would say, Tate. You needed home cooking to beat Oklahoma State. Also, Bill Self, win a real ring. Think about it that way, Tate. Win a real ring.
Right.
What do I mean by that? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's just something you can say if you're a hater.
It always hits.
It always hits.
Right. And I really can't get that Tennessee game out of my head. That's my problem with Kansas. Like we were just saying, they check all the boxes, the best record against Quad One, yada, great talent. But I remember Tennessee. I remember a team locking them up. So
we do.
The haters remember.
I'm in love with the win over real ring thing. I really am. Like, I think that's the perfect thing for a hater to say to literally anybody.
Right.
To someone who's never won a ring, to someone who's won. You could tell Bill Russell won a real ring.
Bill Russell tweeted like, great day, like years ago, and someone said, win a real ring. Is 11 of them.
You could tweet it to Dirk Nowitzki. You're like, win a real ring.
Right. Everyone's like, wasn't that the most impressive ring we've ever seen? No.
Dude.
No.
Win a real ring. So Bill Self, yeah, win a real ring. That's all I'm saying. You need Mario Chalmers to bail you out, and then you beat an 8 seed to win your other ring.
Right.
Like what?
And I will say we have to
Are you
tip our
serious?
cap to the LeBron haters. They are the ones that have created such they've created these slings like the Mickey Mouse title and things like
Yeah,
that.
dude.
Win a real like
They're the
come
best
out,
haters.
They
They're
come
the
out
best
so
haters.
hard, and I'm not sure if they're Jordan fans or LeBron haters. I don't know which one they are, but boy, did they come out hot.
Say what you want about LeBron haters. They are
They're the best.
They're the GOAT haters.
They're the GOAT haters,
They're the
right?
GOAT haters,
He might not be the GOAT player, but he's got the GOAT haters.
No, but it is interesting that Bill Self won his first ring in overtime,
Mhm.
which some would argue doesn't actually count, is more of a tie than a win.
Right.
And
Our
then
soccer fans.
the second one he wins, he beats Villanova with
Injury.
Justin Moore tears his ACL
Right.
or his Achilles, I'm sorry. And then they play an 8 seed who just had an emotional game
Against their rival.
rival.
And we thought that we were
Yeah.
like, there's another game?
Yeah.
Wait, I thought
So
it was over.
that's not actually fair. And
Right.
win a real
Thank
ring.
you.
Yes.
Win a real ring.
Purdue, Nebraska took you to overtime, and you lost to Rutgers at home. Your best win of the season came because your bumbling oaf of an ogre big man injured Zed Key on accident, just because he can't even chew gum and walk at the same time. So he's so clumsy. He had to hurt Ohio State center, and that's how you got your best win. It's fraudulent. Everyone knows it. Also, your coach is an IU fan who stole everything he knows from Bob Knight.
Right. That's the most fraudulent part of Purdue is that they are a Purdue team that is basically an IU DNA team.
And for those of you who want to say that was when he was in high school. That was when he was friends with Pat growing up, Pat Knight. That was the only reason he was an IU fan. False. He hates Purdue so much that people forget he almost took the Missouri job that one time and wanted to leave his alma mater, even though he was the head coach and was apparently had everything rolling, quote unquote. And
right.
Yeah. And he was like, no, I want to get the hell out of here because I know I'll never go to a Final Four. So that's why I'm going to go to a school that stacks up Final Fours left and right in Missouri.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Missouri fans, though. You got something there. There you go.
Also, the moon landing was fake, and if it wasn't, at least the Neil Armstrong part was.
Right.
I think Buzz Aldrin was the first one.
Release the tapes.
Release the tapes.
Right.
That's all I'm asking.
Mm-hmm. And not the Kubrick tapes.
Prove to me. I did my own research on this.
Okay.
And
okay.
I think Buzz Aldrin may have, in fact.
And also, Purdue, win a real ring.
Win a real ring. Purdue, win a real ring.
Hits every time.
Number 4, Alabama. Relying on a bunch of freshmen who turn the ball over like crazy always works out. Don't worry about that. You're gonna be just fine in March, guys. Like, my God, that's your recipe to win. That's how we're gonna do it. Is we're gonna let a bunch of freshmen. We've seen time and time again, one and done guys choke in biggest stages and not win national titles. But damn it, we're different. We're different.
Right.
Yeah, we're different.
We're not Auburn of last year.
Yeah,
we're not going to
we're definitely not Auburn of last
play
year.
a hot team that's a 7 seed and lose. No,
we definitely don't have like a 6'9", 6'10" guy who just floats around the 3-point line and jacks up threes. And because they go in, we say this is sustainable and this is good.
Right.
And we're gonna
best player in the country.
Yeah, best player in the country.
Oh, my wouldn't watch
this. That was Auburn. That's not us.
Yeah,
that was Auburn.
Not similar at all, actually.
Very different. Also, your coach has won nothing. As a reminder,
right?
Thinks he's a genius because he invented the 3 and playing fast.
And he beat DeAndre Ayton that one time.
Yeah, and beat DeAndre Ayton that
Congrats.
one time. Yeah, which is cool. Also, he's going to Texas, so there's that.
Every coach.
Rick Barnes is going to Texas. Also, Nate Oates win a real ring. Number 5, Tennessee. You lost to Colorado and Arizona, and we're taken to overtime by USC. Throw UCLA in there, and I think Tennessee's number 5 in the country. Tate. I think when you think about losing to Colorado, losing to Arizona, almost losing to USC, they didn't play UCLA. They probably lose to them. I think Tennessee's actually the 5th best team in the Pac-12. Never mind the country. They're the 5th best team in the Pac-12.
Okay.
Also, Maryland went 2 for 24 from 3 against Tennessee and only lost by 3. That's a fact.
Yeah, those are numbers. Numbers don't lie.
Also, your coach is going back to Texas. Number 6, UConn. I love you, but we both know you have no playmakers on this team.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. Tristan Newton ain't it. It's just not. He's not. And Kimba and Shabazz aren't walking through that door. Tate.
Right. They need that guy.
They need that guy. Jordan Hawkins is not that guy. He's not a playmaker. He's a catch and shoot guy. Your best offense at times is Jordan Hawkins kicking his leg out and having the defender run into him as he's shooting a 3 so he can get 3 free throws. That's awesome. Good for you. Also, your coach
is a maniac.
Is more likely to punch a ref than draw up a play that'll help your team.
Right. 100%.
That's a fact.
Or take a charge himself, as we've seen over the years. I mean, this is The haters can't help themselves with the Huskies right now because
Yeah.
the Huskies were talking a lot too. So the haters, they're coming at their neck.
Also, your coach burns more calories walking up and down the sideline than your players do on defense these days. So
Right.
there's
What
that as well.
happened?
Yeah, what the hell happened?
What the hell
Get your edge back. UCLA. Are we sure UCLA's beating a tournament team this year? Maryland? Is Maryland a tournament team for you? Kentucky?
Oh, yeah. Right.
Yeah, you know.
And when they went to the Continental Tire Classic, I mean,
but that's what I'm
got
saying.
exposed.
Yeah, against like real tournament teams, they got
Right.
exposed. So yeah, UCLA win a real ring. Also, your coach is going to Texas. I think McCrota could go to
I
Texas.
mean, honestly, every single one of them.
He might. I
mean, coming up, if I'm Mark Few, I take the call.
Well, you bring up Mark Few. At number 8, we have Gonzaga. Your guards stink.
Yes.
Drew Timme, as I said, this is an analogy I love, and I'm going to beat this into the ground. Drew Timme is Ethan Happ with a mustache,
right,
and like 5 more feet of range.
Checks out.
It's prove me wrong.
I think you're right though. Drew Timme he's getting the steam of the National Player of the Year, but right now the haters have to stop.
The Mark Few media machine had, as a reminder, there were people that had Drew Timme. We literally had the first ever National Player of the Year returning in college basketball in over a decade.
Right.
And there were multiple reputable outlets that said Drew Timme is their pick for preseason National Player of the Year when literally the National Player of the Year, the unanimous National Player of the Year was coming back. They still picked Drew Timme. So you tell me how that could possibly happen.
Yeah.
In what world does that happen if not for Mark Few having everybody on his payroll?
Also, you beat Santa Clara by 5.
Yeah, you're grinding out wins in a Mickey Mouse conference. Like, what the hell? I mean, what?
We're watching.
Like, and Tommy Lloyd is the whole reason you're good, by the way. And like, what have you done?
And guess what? He's not at Gonzaga anymore.
And he's not there.
Yeah.
Like, if I really think about it, like the whole reason I think maybe they're not on the payroll. Maybe the reason the media is not on Mark Few's payroll. What it is so many of us in the media spent so much time arguing that Gonzaga is legit through all those years, ever since the Morrison days, you know. And
you've been sticking your neck out for so long.
Sticking your neck out for so long.
Pattern of habit.
That so many people are so deep into this that they can't pull out now. I am one of the few people that I was in there, dude. I was in there.
You were deep.
Morrison's my favorite player ever.
Right.
The 2021 team, I said.
You recreated the shot.
How many times I sit in the seat and I looked you in the eye and I said, 2021 Baylor versus 2021 Gonzaga. I'm putting the spread at 15.5 for Gonzaga. They're going to blow Baylor out. They're miles better than Baylor. 3 minutes into the national title game, it's over. And I said in that moment, I'm done. I'm done with Gonzaga.
Right.
I'm done. I'm out. I want out of the Gonzaga business. A lot of other people in media have invested too much. They don't have the balls to do that. So they're just going down with the ship, which is why we have to pretend like Gonzaga is good. Even though Gonzaga fans are like, our team stinks. We have no guard play. And Drew Timme is Ethan Happ.
Right. And Gonzaga, win a real ring. For once.
Number 9, Arizona. You're a finesse team with the most volatile point guard in America.
Right. Who can quite literally shoot you out of any game.
Yeah.
And he seems determined to do so in a few games so far this year.
Also, your other starting guard is famous for being on underachieving teams. That's how everyone knows Courtney Ramey's name, is because he was on teams that were good but never actually won anything that matters.
And we're very combustible teams. Like, they wanted to fight each other by the end of the season. So
also, your best player is a poor man's Josh McRoberts. I said it.
Shout out to McBob, though. Dude, if Josh McRoberts played today in college basketball, unstoppable. Seriously, unstoppable. Meanwhile, Coach K is making him set screens.
Tubelis, if Tubelis is on the 05 Duke team.
He's setting a lot of screens.
He's over under 5.5 points a game, does he average?
I think it's less. But 20 screens set for JJ Redick.
Oh, also, I had one more note for Arizona. Your coach is going to Texas. Number 10, Texas. Your coach is not going to Texas. That's all I wrote. Your coach is not going to Texas. Your coach.
Update. It's over.
The one guy coaching your team right now is the one guy who we all know is not going to be getting this job at the end of the season.
He is on the list, though. I do appreciate that he's on the list.
Is he?
He's on the list. He's on the list. I think he's on the list.
No, I'm gonna go ahead and just move past Texas because the haters
call John Calipari.
All the haters out there don't need help trying to come up with material.
Right,
for,
it's too much.
It's
honestly not even funny anymore.
Yeah,
you know, sometimes you can't kick someone when they're down.
Number 11, Kansas State. You let a team that has John Diebler on the payroll beat you by 12. Everyone's on Kansas State right now. Kansas State is playing great basketball. Tate. They're at the top of the Big 12 standings. I think they're 14-1 right now. One loss, it's they're the belle of the ball. I think they got Kansas coming up pretty soon. If not their next game. I need to look that up. But I was looking at their schedule not too long ago. I think they have Kansas State's schedule. Yeah, it's January 17th. So what is it? A week or so? They got Kansas in a week or so. So I'm sure they'll come back down to earth at that point, and we'll realize they were frauds all along. But Jerome Tang is the coach, and that's fun, and everybody loves that. And Keontae Johnson. And I guess I want to say that, Tate, that
they are a fun story.
Your best player is 5'7".
Mm-hmm.
Also, nobody is actually impressed by your team. We just love Keontae Johnson playing basketball after watching him play.
We love his story.
He's the DeMar Hamlin of college basketball.
Yeah.
So, and also Jerome Tang, Baylor guy. Where's Baylor? What state's Baylor in?
Texas.
Oh, interesting. Huh. Your coach is going to Texas.
Your coach is definitely going to Texas. Jerome Tang is top of the list. Might be going to Texas.
Number 12, Xavier. If the entire NCAA tournament was in the Cintas Center, I'd like your chances, but sadly it's not. All of Xavier's success early in the Big East, like Xavier beats Connecticut. They're beating, they're looking great. They look like the best in the Big East. If you actually suss through the schedule and like what's going on here, Tate, they're playing all the best Big East teams at home. They play the second game of the round robins are always going to be on the road.
Right.
So I don't know.
You're setting yourself up for failure.
Spoiler alert. I'm going to guess that Xavier starts to fall apart late February, early March. Yeah, congratulations. You're winning games at home. Cool. No other college basketball team is doing that, Xavier.
And Sean Miller is flying way too close to the sun.
Yeah.
Number 12.
Yeah. Yeah,
First year back.
I'm not drinking this Kool-Aid.
Right.
Sean Miller's a likable Cinderella, like underdog.
We were talking about Dan Hurley choking a ref. Sean Miller's right there behind him.
Yeah.
There's a chance.
Also, I have personally been to more Final Fours than your entire program and your coach combined. So think about that for a second.
Right. That
Just
hurts.
think about that.
That hurts.
Yeah.
And guess what? Numbers don't lie.
That's not even what do they say? It's not bragging if it's true, which is
still,
it's not,
I think it's still bragging.
It's literally what bragging is pointing out.
It would actually be really bad if bragging was like saying things that aren't true.
Yeah. It's the dumbest thing of all time. Whoever came up with that. It's not bragging if it's true.
Sounds good.
But yeah, that's just a fact. I'm not even trash talking. That's just a fact. It's just a fact. I've been to more Final Fours than Xavier and Sean Miller.
Right.
Fine. Number 13, Virginia. You haven't played well since Thanksgiving. The pack line doesn't work anymore, and you know it. And you're having an identity crisis as a program because you're like, this is like people as college basketball players have learned to shoot threes. The pack line has stopped working, and you continue. You guys are apparently one of the smartest public schools in the country, and yet you're too stupid to connect those dots. That like your time in the sun is over. You're done. The pack line is done. It's bare. It's antiquated. Get it out of here. Also, nobody knows who your best player is. Not because you have so many best players, because you don't have a best player.
Right.
Because you stink. I'm sorry. That one hurt.
That one hurt your chest a little bit. As you were saying it, I could feel it. I will say
that
this,
one hurt. That one hurt. I didn't like
Coach
that
Bennett, the winningest coach in Virginia basketball history. We don't even really need to do the haters guide to Virginia because Jim Boeheim did it to Tony Bennett. Did you see that after the game?
No,
Tony Bennett breaks Terry Holland's record for the most coaches. He beats Syracuse, and then he's going through the handshake line. And you remember last year when Coach K came to Charlottesville, like Tony Bennett rolled out the red carpet, gave him his little ceremony, did everything.
Yes.
So Tony Bennett was thinking, okay, well, there's another seasoned veteran coach here in the ACC. He's obviously going to be excited for me. He's going to give me my moment in the sun. Jim Boeheim tried to blow past him in the handshake line, and then Tony Bennett was trying to like have like a nice like moment, and Jim Boeheim was like, "Get this man out of my face." And it keeps going. And I was like, they don't need any hate because Jim Boeheim showed his hate right then in that moment. He was like, "I do not care that you won the most games in Virginia history. Get me out of this building." It was just like the most curmudgeon hateful thing I've seen. I was like, no hate for Virginia. Jim Boeheim's got us covered. But congrats to Tony Bennett.
Speaking of Tony Bennett, I meant to Google this before I said that. Has he said no to the Texas job yet?
Not yet.
Huh.
Not yet.
Huh. Interesting. Huh.
Some people have said he likes Austin too.
Huh.
Yeah.
How could you not?
How could you not? Great place.
Great
barbecue.
Do you like live music?
Yeah.
You like tacos?
You like beer?
You like what else is in Austin?
I don't know. All that.
Arch Manning?
Like Arch Manning.
Joe Rogan? You like him? You ever heard of him?
There you go.
Number 14, Iowa State. You play all of your games on ESPNU for a reason. I mean, right. Like you just played at TCU for the winner is going to be the top of the Big 12 standings. It was on ESPNU.
That was the best game of the weekend, by the way. No one watched it.
Iowa State, I'm gonna pause the segment right
Mhm.
now and serious comment. Iowa State, I was prepared there for a second to come in, just like ripping to shreds how jobbed Iowa State was getting at the end of that TCU game. The refs in that game, I think it was Mike Miles kept getting fouled on threes where he's kicking his leg out. There were all sorts of insane blocking. I don't know. Anyway, I'm glad they won because that's a terrible position to be in, to know you got jobbed in a big game like that, but then no one wants to hear that from the team that lost, you know?
Right. So you
So when you
won
win and you
and
get
you
jobbed, it's
right.
a little easier to
You can say
kinda
it now.
complain about how bad the refs were, but I see you Iowa State fans who had to endure
Mhm.
that. Back to the segment. Your coach looks like a thumb, but thinks he's jacked, and can we find a shirt that fits this man? Like, you're not jacked, Otzelberg. I
Mhm.
don't know how to tell you that.
Mhm.
Like, I'm sorry to say, I'm not impressed, you know? Like,
Neither am I.
you know.
You should have lost to Carolina.
Yeah. Also, speaking of Otzelberger, might be going to Texas.
Yeah, right.
He's a candidate, so there's that. Arkansas, you're only good at home. You are in the thick of the bargaining stage of this season where you realize that without Brazil and Nick Smith, you're never going to come to your potential. So now you're just bargaining, trying to figure out like you thought you might have a shot at a national championship, and you're trying to figure out like what would be acceptable at this point. Speaking of Nick Smith, he's going to opt out. He is. We all know he is. We all know it's coming. He's just meeting with his PR team right now, trying to figure out the best way to present this.
Right. And if
This
you wait later,
you wait
then
later, it
it
looks
sounds
like
like there's
he's
less
trying.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so, we all see that coming. That's definitely happened. And your coach is going to Texas, and that's it. Number 16, Miami, you lost to Georgia Tech, and you should have lost to Cornell, and that's enough said. That's all I really need to say
Right.
about that. You lost to Georgia Tech, and you're still ranked 16th. I that's the last time we saw Miami play basketball, too.
Mm,
Last time Miami took the floor, they lost to Georgia Tech. Refresh the AP poll. They have a 16 next to their name, Tate. You're the
right.
ACC guy. Make that make sense to me.
It doesn't, but I also don't like that they're calling Larinaga Coach L. They're calling him Coach L all the
Oh,
time
no.
now, and
Oh,
I,
no.
I, and I just think that's setting up. That's a bad precedent to set. I mean, especially coming off Coach K turning into Coach L. You don't want to pick up on this nickname and carry water for it. So Miami, let that go, move on, get back at it. Georgia Tech also tough road game.
Coach L, dude.
Coach
That's
L. You'll see it. Like if you follow, I follow Miami on all the social channels. They're like Coach L in the building. It's like Larinaga just sitting there, like looking at his iPad. Well, you got to end
what's
this.
yeah, like how many that's an off-season segment as we go through each letter in the alphabet and we
Right.
figure out who is Coach A,
Hmm.
who is Coach B,
Right. Well,
who is Coach C.
Coach L is out there,
Coach L
and
is
I don't know who the 22-year-old social media person is for Miami, but they got to let that one
Coach
go.
K is Mike Krzyzewski's dog, as we
Right.
know.
Right.
Um,
Right.
Coach O is accounted for.
I will say I have a friend of mine, quick tangent, that is listening to Coach K's radio show on Sirius, and he has been sending me just like the rundown of his topics, and it's unbelievable. Like I don't listen to it, but I just look at the rundown. I'm like,
Let
I
let
gotta
me
start
know
listening to this.
let me know, as I said last show, let me know when the John Shire is actually doing a great job segment happens, because I know
Right.
it's coming.
He doesn't. He
I
doesn't
know,
talk about Duke. He really doesn't talk about it. Like he doesn't
but
care. I think that's my favorite thing about Mr. K post Duke. He's like, I don't
I
never
don't, I
like
don't
Duke.
care. I've never liked Duke. I'm an Army guy. You
He's
know
like, I
this.
like Carolina better than
Yeah.
Duke, actually.
Number 17, TCU. You lost to Northwestern State. You needed a
Ooh.
miracle to beat Pine Bluff to open the season. You couldn't even score 60 points against Cal. You're shooting 29% from three. Your
Mm,
program hasn't made a Sweet 16 since 1968. You won't finish better than 500 in the Big 12 this year. You know how I know this? Because it happens every single year. No matter how good you think you are, it's not going to happen. And then I have to sit here and listen to how that's a demonstration of how deep the Big 12 is, when really it's a demonstration that TCU is a fraud of a basketball program and you're a football school.
you're a
That's what you
football
are,
school. I
you
mean,
know?
that's all you have to say. You're a football
You
school. You're in
came
the
into
national
you
championship.
came into this academic
Can't have
season
both.
you came into this academic season believing that you were a basketball school. You are not. You're
Mhm.
definitively not. You are a football school. The basketball program was a fun story for a second. Get it out of my face.
Right.
Ranked 17th. No, you just lost at home. Get out of here.
Mhm.
Be
Football
gone.
school.
Number 18, Wisconsin. Your best win of the season was a loss to Kansas. Like anytime you're making the case for a team and you're pointing to a loss, I'm out, you know?
Mhm.
So that makes no sense to me. You also just lost to an Illinois team that's in free fall and whose starting point guard, like what was it, 12 hours before tip off? 16 hours before tip off says I'm done with this team. Illinois is already a mess, and then Sky Clark's like, I'm leaving also, and they have to deal with that, which is actually addition
Might be
by
a good thing.
subtraction,
Yeah. I
but
like
not
F's
but not for
better.
the narrative I'm
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to build
I
here.
know, I know.
Um,
Yeah. Also, if you're bringing up Tyler Wall as the reason why you lost, and like
yeah,
you have to, like, I saw a bunch of people tweeting like the Wallless,
yeah,
Badgers lose to Illinois.
yeah.
It's like, no, that you should still win that game.
So now all of a sudden a Big Ten team not having their big guy
Oh, right, it
and losing on the
matters.
road, it matters? Oh,
Matters.
huh, interesting.
Mm,
It's weird how that works out. Oh my
mm.
god. You scored 43 points against Dayton, that's a fact. Wisconsin scored 43 points against Dayton, and you wanna tell me that you're the 18th best team in the country? No. No. Every Wisconsin game, they win by 5 against a team that'll be in the NIT or worse, and then you look up and they have a decent record, and
Right.
then they tell you,
And you're
"We're
like, I
we're a good
guess
team."
I guess they are a
Yeah.
top 25
I
team.
know, dude.
That's the funniest part about the AP voters. There is this weird, like, it doesn't matter what's actually happening in real time. It's like, what is the precedent that's been set?
Yeah, yes.
They're very much like the Supreme Court or something.
And then Wisconsin wins the Big Ten because of imbalanced scheduling, and they
Mhm.
have a favorable schedule that just, like, breaks their way where they never have to go to, like, the actual good teams.
Right.
They never have to play on the road against the good teams.
Right.
And
And everyone's like, great year for the
it's
Big
great
Ten.
year for the Big Ten. Extend Greg Gard, the guy that I wanted fired 6 months ago. I actually don't
Oh,
anymore.
man.
Number 19, and speaking of Wisconsin, your coach is not going to Texas, so that's
That's
all
good
you need.
news.
That's it's good news, but it's also all you need to know about your coach and
Right.
your program.
No one's going after him.
Texas doesn't want
Yeah.
him.
Right.
Number 19, Providence. You lash out at Kempon because you know he's right. You're very lucky. And that's just insecurity on display. That's all that is. We all see it. We all know what's going on here. You were carried by a guy who wasn't good enough to get minutes for NIT Kentucky. And Jared Bynum has regressed, you know?
Right.
So, I mean, like, and I'm supposed to believe that this Providence team is something?
And your
No.
coach is going to Texas.
And your coach is going to Texas.
Right.
Win a real ring. Win a real Big East ring.
Right.
And
And
cool
also,
to-
stop all the water on the floor.
Yeah.
Stop that.
like get an arena that works before we
Stop changing the name and
it's
build a
just-
new arena.
Yeah, my God. Number 20, Missouri. You waited 10 years to play Kansas and Columbia and talked all that shit because the last
Right.
time you played them in Columbia, you won. And you spent a decade talking all that shit just to lose by 30.
Mm-hmm.
Are you serious? And you want me
Right.
to take you seriously? You're a joke defensively. You're living off of momentum from starting 9-0 this season on the back of a schedule that even Jim Boeheim would blush at. And your coach is going to Texas, and that's it. So,
And
there
I
you
will
go.
say that it always comes up on Twitter somehow that "We Are Mizzou" rap video, like that. You should be banished for 30 years for that ever coming out.
Here to go.
Like, you should not be allowed to play in the NCAA tournament. That should be that's the only death penalty I would ever want to to put into the world. But yeah, move on.
That's good off-season content too. Death penalty, power rank. Like what?
Right. What program actually deserves it?
Or like what if a program does? What are the power rankings like the most egregious things you can do
Right.
to warrant a death penalty? I think
Mm.
that might be number one. Is putting out like promoting. Every fan base is going to have people independently make their rap videos.
Right.
But if you start promoting it from official channels,
Right.
death penalty.
And you're not doing
Death
it
penalty.
ironically.
Yeah.
It seems like you're doing it.
Yes.
It seems like joyfully doing it.
Yes.
I don't like it.
Death penalty. Maybe that's what happened to Indiana too, because they made one of those.
Really?
I think it was during the Cody Zeller,
It's-
Victor Oladipo.
It's tough.
And sank their season.
It's tough.
I think it sank their whole program.
I think as a society we all learned you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't make, even if you have this good idea, quote unquote, to make a rap video, just don't do it. Just sit it out.
It's Eminem's fault, dude.
Right.
Eminem had a bunch of white kids in the suburbs saying,
I'm Slim
I could do
Shady."
that. Maybe
Maybe I'm Slim Shady.
maybe I am Slim Shady.
The
Eminem-
last time that it worked was, and I guess it really didn't even work, but Mo Bamba, a song about Mo Bamba with Sheck West. That was the last time that someone made a song that you were like, it actually,
Like a meme song.
it was like, and it works, But then also Mo Bamba,
But then also,
Mo Bamba's not good.
My introduction
so-
to Mo Bamba was Tommy Alter coming into the Ringer office and saying, "You got to hear this song. I was at Penn
Yeah.
State this weekend, and this is the song they were playing."
Everyone's playing it.
Everyone was
He's like,
playing it. I was
everyone's
like,
playing it.
"This is a bad entry point." To
Like, and then Tommy's like playing it for us. He's like, dude, this is so fire. I'm like, what is happening? He's like, this isn't leading the show.
Tommy, if you want me to love a rap song, there's only one way it can work, and it's I have to go to a basketball game, like a year and a half after the song came out, and you have to have Drake featured on the song in some capacity, and then I have to like be nodding my head to it and be like, damn, this is kind of hot. Like, is this new? Is this top 40? And then everybody I'm with is like, this song came out 4 years ago.
Yeah.
That's how I need to be introduced to. I was 3.5 years late to Migos, but when I found them, boy,
You were in.
I was so into Migos. Yeah.
I had that moment in time in 2002. We went to go see Jameson Curry, who was coming to North Carolina. He was about to break my great uncle's scoring record, and this is before the song was anywhere. But I heard "Yeah" by Usher, and it was before like it was anywhere. And we were in the gym, and my brother and I were looking. We were like, "What song? This song is unbelievable! Like, what is this? You know, like what are these guys listening to? They're like, this is how famous they are. They're like listening to music that hadn't even come out yet." That was the time. That's what I want to get back to.
That's your new Twitter bio. I heard yeah
before anyone.
I discovered yeah.
Yeah, and guess what? Jameson Curry was the original Curry in North Carolina. Everyone knew Jameson Curry.
It's Steph. Now that I think about it, Eminem is Steph Curry of rap. That like in the same way that kids saw Steph shooting 40-footers, they were like, I could do that.
Right.
They saw Eminem and
right. They're like, that's me.
And everyone's like, please stop. And like, how do we undo this damage that this
Right.
man has done? That's Eminem with rap and white guys.
And 8
like,
Mile didn't help either, because like 8 Mile, he's like, I'm just gonna talk about myself, you know. I'm gonna get the jokes out first, you know, and that's like the way to do it. So a lot of people like say this, you know.
Who's the most respected white rapper right now?
Everyone looks around. Everyone's like, oh,
Kyle.
Kyle.
Jack Harlow.
Good Lord, no respect.
Jack Harlow.
I mean, I guess,
yeah,
sure. He dates Dua Lipa now, right? We'll give him respect.
L's up, dude. Louisville guy. But to the point.
Right.
White guy making rap.
Right.
He's a Louisville guy. Ruined the program.
Yeah. So it goes back to Missouri. That's why you're dead.
Path.
Death penalty.
That's
Jack Harlow supports Louisville.
Dude, also when Eminem was at his hottest, Michigan basketball was garbage. And then Eminem like fades away and John Beeline takes over and away. Dude, we're onto something there. White people rapping is the death penalty for
right.
Your
and also, I don't know if you've heard this, but Eminem apparently is selling verses now. Like it's pretty easy to get an Eminem verse, but like they're pretty mailed in. So there's a lot of like new songs that are coming out of like a new artist. It's like XO whatever, Charlie whatever, and it's like featured Eminem, and it's just him just like rapping about ramen and things.
We should we should do a GoFundMe.
We should get him.
We should start a GoFundMe to get an Eminem verse for the Titus Tate.
I think it's like
song.
It's 300,000.
$300,000.
That's what we have to raise 300,000 for Eminem to make our new theme song.
It opens with Woody Durham and Eminem cuts in. It's like, dude, I hate so much that what's that dude's name? The comedian Chris D'Elia, is that the guy's name?
Mm-hmm.
That like is apparently just a scumbag.
He used to do an Eminem thing.
Well,
yeah,
I saw the video
amazing.
one time of him doing the Eminem thing, and I hate that he's a scumbag now because that was like such a great,
so good,
so funny.
Yeah, it's wild how
unfortunately I can't admit that
every white guy could rap like the Eminem voice. You know, like it's just like weirdly.
I just looked up some prices for rappers if you want to get them on the theme song.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What's Gorilla Zoe?
Well, here we go. J. Cole charges around $2,000 per word.
How many words do we need? Start crunching the
Titus and Tate. We just get Girl, right. $6,000. Get him to say it.
I'll reach out to J. Cole.
All right, Kendrick Lamar per verse is $250,000 to $400,000.
What is a verse? What do we classify as a
16
verse?
16 bars.
16 bars. Okay. I need, okay. All right.
Lil Baby.
That might be worth it.
Should we get Lil Baby? He's $100,000.
Lil Baby would be good for us.
He or she is $100,000 per verse.
Is Lil Baby
not the baby?
We talked about this before.
The baby is
good.
Is the baby
done?
The baby's canceled.
Wait,
the baby's
Lil
canceled.
Baby and the
He's
baby.
the only person I've seen successfully canceled.
Are they related?
Huh?
Are they related? Lil Baby and the baby?
No, they're not. But they are both the babies of their family.
What about Lil Mama?
Is Little
Babies?
Is Little Baby?
Lil Mama was
we talked about this because you made me go listen to a Little Baby song, right?
Yeah, because Little Baby, everybody likes Little Baby, but everyone used to like Da Baby as well, and then Da Baby got canceled. And the baby's out.
See, I went and listened to the Little Baby song, and it didn't stick because I didn't hear it at a basketball game.
Right.
Like 2 years after it came out. That's the only way it sticks to me.
You like Little Baby, yes, indeed, with Drake. You just need Drake.
That's right. I need Drake. I need Drake.
Yeah, right.
I need Drake.
That's how we funnel.
Yeah, I know.
Da Baby is $300,000 per verse. By the way.
Canceled. He's got the highest rate.
Is Little Baby like he's like a real rapper though? Because one of the hard things about rap right now is trying to figure out who's like who's like a joke rapper too though. Like guys that are like trying to be funny and cutesy and
right.
Like Eminem even had that problem where like half his songs are like
a joke.
And the videos, he's trying to be funny.
Yeah.
And then other halves are like, I'm gonna kill my ex-wife and,
and
my mother. And you're like
you're like, this guy sounds like he has some problems.
Like I don't get the joke. I don't get the joke in that one.
That one went over my head.
Hey, 2 Chainz is $100,000. Perverse.
We don't want 2 Chainz.
You want
We want
Snoop
Titty
Dogg?
Boy. We want Titty Boy.
Titty Boy.
So before 2 Chainz was 2 Chainz,
What-
he was Titty Boy, and that was the best time. That's what it
Oh
was.
my
like Kyle.
god.
Snoop Dogg, 250,000.
That's a bargain.
These are good
honestly.
rates.
Polo G, 85 to 150,000, and Eminem usually doesn't charge to be featured. In your face.
Lies.
Let's get him. Let's just we have to listen. This is like Tony Bennett. This is like Brad Stevens. You have to make him say
Right.
no.
Yeah.
Eminem still has not said no to dropping a line, a bar, a verse, a what?
Something. He's gonna drop
I think
something.
it's a beat.
he's gonna say something incoherent. That's for sure.
Where were we? Haters Guide. Oh, we got like 5 more, I think. 21 Auburn. You lost to Georgia by double digits.
It says enough.
Your guards are a meme. Your coach is Jesse Gemstone. You think he loves you. He does not. He's using you. This is a theme throughout the SEC. Guys in the north, like Kentucky is in the late stage of this. But somehow I don't want to attack your fellow Southerners too much, Tate, but
These are deep
so this
South.
is with all due respect, but they're too stupid to realize that these carpetbaggers that are not from the South just come down and, you know, smooch babies and say all the right things, and they're like, oh my God, this guy's the most charismatic guy ever. And not only that, but he loves us. He loves Auburn. He absolutely does. Bruce Pearl's leaving the second he gets a job, and it might be Texas. But fear
Bruce
not,
Pearl
because
would go to Texas if they would offer him the job.
fear not, when Bruce Pearl leaves for a better job, you guys will hire Chris Beard, and your program will be back. So there's that for Auburn. There's the silver lining.
That actually could happen.
Auburn would hire Chris Beard.
I think there's 2 programs that are going after Chris Beard right now. It's Liberty and Auburn.
Yes.
There you go.
Also, Auburn can't shoot, dude. They can't shoot.
Right.
They and
And
like,
that's supposed to be Katie Johnson's thing, by the way.
Yeah.
Like everyone told me, watch out for Katie Johnson. He's going to shoot 40% from 3.
and
No.
basically every other SEC team, you suck away from home, but then you beat, like, they just beat Arkansas at home, and you trick everyone into thinking
The
because
jungle.
because you win at home against a decent team, like, you're actually good. But really, it's just like home games in the South are just like it's just absolute chaos. And you're probably throwing quarters at it the other play. I'm not saying you are. I'm not saying that this is happening. This is just hypothetical. Say they're like throwing shit at some of the what if? I'm not saying it's happening. I'm not accusing anybody.
Right.
But what if they were? No, like I picked up on that a couple years ago. That like all these SEC teams look awesome, but then you realize like they're all just playing at home in front of just insane crowds.
With
So it's
officials.
like, with officials that are just like scared for their lives.
Right. Rightfully so.
Yeah. So I don't know. Congrats, Auburn. Like I said with Xavier, if the entire tournament is in your home arena, I think you
I
got
like
a
your
shot
chances.
to make the Sweet 16. I do,
Right.
but unfortunately, it's not. That brings us to number 22, Charleston, which is kind of the purpose of this exercise. Is Charleston and Florida Atlantic. What are we doing with this? what are like how what is going on, dude?
The best part about
What-
Charleston is that Jim texted me about a week ago and goes, "Great call on Charleston," because early on in the year you were like, "Who's Carolina beat?" You know, and I was
So-
like, "College of Charleston."
It's all
And
he's
it
saying.
Yeah.
turns out that College of Charleston's a top 25 team.
So that's Charleston's one loss. All these people that have are voting for Charleston. All this
Right.
this college basketball, like
The brain trust.
the brain trust that
Right.
is, that like
The people that have Mark Few's team,
yeah,
like always in the top 10.
The people that are voting Drew
Right.
Timme for National Player of the Year
Right.
because he had a double against Santa Clara, and I'm like, what the f- is going on here? They're not only voting for Charleston, but they're doing it over and over and over. They're actually like talking themselves into like Charleston is a good team. I have no idea how we arrived at this point, Tate, because those same people are the people that will shove Q1 and Ken Palm
Thank you.
stats all down
Thank
your
you.
throat.
Thank you.
And you're like, how can you live in both worlds?
Right.
Guess what Charleston is on Ken Palm right now? Because this is the people that are saying Charleston is a legit team and deserves to be ranked. But like, if you seriously believe Charleston is the 23rd best team in the country, I donate your brain to science, please.
Right.
Please, because
John Rothstein.
we need to understand
John
like, what's
Rothstein,
going
please
on.
donate your brain.
Donate your brain to science.
Please.
So these people that truly believe that also believe that Ken Palm is infallible and like
Right.
we don't need to play the games, just run the algorithm. Go ahead then and take a guess at where Charleston is on Ken Palm. Guess.
I'm gonna
Say a number.
guess. I'm gonna guess 40,
Double it.
80.
Still not there.
One-
84th.
Wow.
84th on KenPom right now is Charleston. They're 16-1, and because they're 16-1, we have to pretend like this team is any good. They go to overtime against Towson.
Tough team.
They beat Stetson by 5 at home. I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand how there are people who get paid to follow this sport and like seriously believe that Charleston is better than San Diego State and Duke and Marquette and Ohio. Like
there's always a token team that they want to throw up there to, like, it was New Mexico, right? The New Mexico loses.
So you're saying right now, this is what I have to believe based on the AP poll. This is what I have to believe. Purdue and Wisconsin are both ranked ahead of Charleston, and then that's it. Those are the only two Big Ten teams. So you're telling me that Charleston is the third best team in the Big Ten. That's what you're telling me.
Right.
That's the reality I have to accept
as
a college basketball fan.
Here's the new reality. College of Charleston plays at UNCW on Wednesday night, and that will probably be a loss. UNCW is a really good team.
All right.
A sneaky good team, I should say. And College of Charleston will probably lose that game, and they'll probably be out of your face. So
College of Charleston could win every game for the rest of the season,
and you'd have question marks.
We're gonna live in a world where they run the table and they're playing in their conference championship game, the conference tournament championship game. They're ranked 7th in the country, and they have to win the game to make the NCAA tournament.
Right.
And it makes sense to everybody else. And I'm the one guy that's in the back of the room, like raising my hand. Will somebody please acknowledge how the hell this could be?
Charleston's one loss
what is going on
at Carolina. Imagine if they won that game when Carolina was number 1 in the country.
They would be number 1.
They'd be number 1.
They'd be the last undefeated team in the country. They would have beaten the number 1 team in the country. They would be number 1 in the country. Unanimous number 1. Everyone would be like, if you don't think Charleston is the best team in the country, you're a fraud.
Right.
You're a fraud.
That's a fun
and then the
exercise.
NCAA tournament, the committee comes together. Charleston's an 11 seed, has to play the first. They're in Dayton. And then all these nerds lose their mind, and they're like, the committee got it wrong.
Right.
And it's like, the committee did not get it wrong. They when you go to KenPom and you pull up their schedule, and half the teams on the schedule, you can't even click on their name because they're not Division 1. They're like NAIA on Charleston's schedule, which I don't even know if that's true. That's just what it felt like when I looked at it last time. Okay, so it's one team, but whatever. For our purposes, it's half the schedule. No, I don't know.
The haters say no.
I'm disgusted by Charleston being ranked. So
I will
apologies
say this.
and I like Charleston. I do.
Right. I like Charleston
Pat Kelsey. I like their team.
But the brain trust of college basketball media, you know what else they like? The town of Charleston. So if Charleston is good, then we have a reason to go there. Now Jay Billis is calling a game with Dan Schulman when Charleston is playing UNCW.
At least that logic tracks, and I can respect it. If you have something that at least that makes sense, you know.
That's what I'm reading. If I'm looking at the tea leaves, that's what I'm seeing.
The other part didn't make sense to me of how we got here, where Charleston is. Anyway, I'll wrap it up. 23 San Diego State. No hate, honestly. I think they're a very good team. I think losing to them is a very quality loss. So San Diego State, maybe the best team in school history. Really,
that's what they told you before the year.
24 Duke, also a very good team. I got nothing bad to say about them. I think they're great. I think losing against Duke is a quality loss. And it tells you not, like, if you lose to Duke, it doesn't mean you're a bad team at all.
Right.
It means that Duke's pretty good.
Right.
And then Marquette was losing to Georgetown at halftime.
Mm-hmm. But that was a Shaka. That might have been a Shaka special. Because I think deep down, Shaka likes
your coach
Georgetown.
is going to Texas.
Yeah, your coach is going back to
Texas. Marquette, your coach is going back to Texas. Florida Atlantic got more votes. What is going on, dude? I don't know. I don't understand.
Know what game we're playing. I really don't know.
I just don't like. Just all I'm asking is somebody put me on the email chain when you guys talk about this shit, and you're like, "Hey guys, so this week we're gonna pretend like Florida Atlantic's good." I just want to be on the group text or something. Like everyone else seems to be in agreement that we're gonna all pretend like these teams are good, and it's fine. Like if that's the charade, I just like when I'm left out, I feel hurt by it. So like, can somebody please put me on the email chain? So I know what's going on, because when you wake up and you see that people you used to respect are saying that Charleston and Florida Atlantic are fun stories,
better
and like
than
what is going on?
Right.
What is going on?
I don't know what's going on, but I feel like the AP poll in and of itself is now more for content purposes than it is for reality.
It's meme. It's officially a meme.
And I think that all the writers are in on it. Because when you look at their votes and how they put it together, because a lot of these guys, the writers will put out their independent polls, and there's always some sort of personal vendetta that is baked into it, you know?
Yeah.
So you got to deal with that.
No, it's there's your haters guide to the AP poll though. Any AP poll that has Charleston in it is fraudulent. That's not. I'm gonna stop myself, because if you think I'm a Charleston hate, I'm a hater of like this current team in this situation, but like there's a world where I'm not like necessarily a mid-major hater, Tate. Like if Charleston actually played good teams
Right.
and won against good teams,
Their best win is
I would
almost
say
beating
cool.
Carolina. Yeah.
But like I have to be the bad guy that says this team sucks. And then when the committee doesn't put them in the tournament, if they don't win their conference tournament, everyone's going to say, who saw this coming? And again, I'm going to say,
everyone.
You said I was a bad guy. I was the realist. I was trying to explain to you that this team sucks. And
right.
I guess sucks is probably strong. They don't suck, but you know what I'm saying. They're not 23rd in the country, 22nd. What are they? 22nd, dude.
It looks good. But again, Wednesday night at UNCW, tough game for the CAA. I think if you asked, we went around and asked people. On
Don't
the street,
say it's a tough game because then when they
it's
win
it's
it,
matchup.
when they win it, they're going to move 7 spots up
right.
the poll.
They'll probably be in the top 25 longer than Carolina this year. I mean, at this rate, the voters love them. They're a darling. That's what happens.
Florida Atlantic is at least 38th in KenPom.
What is Florida Atlantic's big win? Florida, right?
Florida Atlantic's big win is Florida. They also have wins over teams that you can't click on their name on KenPom.
Right.
So,
but like Florida's not.
They have 2 wins over. They beat Lynn to open the season. They lost to Ole Miss. They beat Florida. I guess Florida's that like you beat Florida, you're good. That's how everyone is. I don't know because Auburn beat Florida. UConn beat Florida. They beat
a lot of people beat Florida.
Yeah, Xavier beat
Texas
Florida.
A&M just beat Florida. They didn't even have their jerseys when they showed up.
Xavier's big win this season is Florida.
Right.
You know, on a neutral court.
Maybe that's what Todd Golden's there for. You know, to not be good, but just to be the quality win for everyone else.
Florida finishes the season.
It does sound
12
good.
and 19.
Like if you came up to me in the street and you're like Florida Atlantic, man, I kind of like them.
They
beat Florida. Oh, damn, you're right. They did beat Florida.
Anyway, what if you're handicapping Charleston versus? I won't even pick Ohio State. Just pick another team. Baylor, Charleston versus. What's the spread? 26.5.
Something like that. I think it's the Kentucky Louisville spread. I think that's what it is.
All right, that's it. That's all I had. That's the haters guide.
I love that.
Any shout outs?
I want to shout out tonight the national championship game. We got we are in Los Angeles. We got Georgia. We got TCU. Both
Georgia's
here.
Playing?
Yeah, Georgia's playing.
Dude,
yeah.
I filed the
I filed
the injunction, dude.
Yeah, you put it in.
Did the NCAA? They told me they were going to take it under consideration. The non-targeting call.
I'm worried about the Bulldogs. I'm worried about their attitude coming into this game.
Dogs versus frogs. Huh?
Well, they're just like, we don't want to come to LA. Why is the championship on the West Coast? You know, there's a lot of that same excitement that we saw when they did it last year. I'm not feeling the same way about it. So that has me concerned. TCU might be happy to be here.
If you talk yourself into the TCU win, it's the Vince Young USC storyline. You know, it's the unstoppable dynasty. Are we talking dynasty with this team?
But I feel like that might be next year. You know, like Georgia could win back to back, and then they go for the 3-peat.
Did USC win back to because they
won back to back, right? And
they
lost.
Well, they won the first one. It was like the split because they weren't in the.
That's right.
They were like voted.
Right.
It was still that.
And
then the second one, it was like we definitely won this one.
It was like 03 was shared with Auburn, right? And then it was 04 they won, and it was legit by themselves, solo champions. And then 05 it was the year
next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might be right.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I'm worried though, because Stetson Bennett, can he come back?
Yeah, he can.
Okay.
He can. Yeah, he actually can. Yeah.
Stetson Bennett listens to Death Row. Like that's how old this man is. I could not believe that.
Yeah, any other circumstance, a 25-year-old guy in college is the biggest loser ever. And you're like, dude.
There are 2 exceptions. There is Van Wilder and there is Stetson Bennett.
But even Van Wilder wasn't like the by the end of the movie, wasn't that the point of the movie?
Sad.
It was like,
dude,
like, you're not as cool as you think you are. Yeah.
Right. 7 years, man.
My one shout out is Jared Jeffries. He won a car on Price is Right. So the Hoosiers have lost 5 of the last 8 now. Lost to Northwestern at home. But Jared Jeffries won a car on Price is Right, so Indiana's back, I think.
Right.
And
trending up.
Yeah, trending in the right direction. So,
that's all I care about is where you're trending. And I think Indiana, they're at the bottom. They're at rock bottom, so to speak, in Kenny Payne verbiage. And now we're going to climb
One thing
up.
I am worried about with Mike Woodson, first of all, Mike, as we said last year, the moment that Indiana made the NCAA tournament, I don't care that they're in the playing game. I don't care that they got stomped by St. Mary's. None of that is relevant to what I'm about to say. They made the NCAA tournament. He's already better than Archie Miller. It was already like a good move for Indiana.
Right. It was already a move in the right direction. Yeah.
So, the whole like, did Indiana screw up by firing Archie Miller? No, they didn't. But at the same time, I'm starting to think Woodson, the NBA background, it feels like when he coaches, he's coaching the NBA, and he's like, we can take losses. It's not a big deal. None of these games, the regular season doesn't matter, right?
Right.
And it hasn't
He's
fully
like, we
clicked
try to
with
get to
him.
the playoffs.
Yeah,
And everyone's like, whoa.
It hasn't fully clicked with him yet that like you can't just lose to Northwestern at home. This isn't,
Right.
you know,
This is a resume game.
yeah. In the way like the Celtics lose at OKC and give up 150
Right.
points and just shrug it off and like, oh, we'll be fine. I feel like that's how he approaches college basketball.
Right. And I think there's a little bit too where he almost lets these guys like flounder, you know?
Yeah.
Like there's a certain level of college basketball coach where you have to step in and say, I'm going to help you guys out. And I think
Yeah.
Woody is at a point where he's like, you guys will figure it out, which is NBA.
My final shout out, the Dogs. We won the Hendricks County title, as
Congrats.
we always do. We always do. We beat the
Right.
shit out of Avon. As first reported on Titus Tate, we were going to. We did. So Brownsburg High School ranked second in the state in basketball right now. I'm not going to be talking too much shit because Ben Davis, the number one team in the state, we already played, and I think they worked us. So, but there's an outside chance, Tate. So I don't know.
Right.
We'll check back
Well,
in.
it's good
but-
it's already happened though, because now you're setting up for the redemption game.
But there's a world in which I'm back, and my high school was number one in the state in football, and then they canceled the season because of COVID. Around the state tournament started, and now the basketball team is knocking on the door of being number one. So I don't know. I just fingers crossed the tournament doesn't get canceled. Like
Kick down the door. I think it can happen.
All right, that's the show. Any shout outs, Jim? Do you have any shout outs?
No, that's it.
All right. That's the show.
I love that.
Congrats to Florida Atlantic and Charleston. We talked about you a lot on the podcast,
Right.
and
That
that's
was
all you
big
can
of
ask for.
us.
No such thing as bad publicity.
Right.
There you go.
Enjoy it.
See ya.